Hey there, planners. Today I'm going to be doing something really fun and critical to my planning system for the year ahead. I'm going to be mapping out what are my planning needs for next year. And I'm going to do this in a mind mapping format. I'm going to also do this with some creative supplies. I've broken out the watercolors. I want to tap into that creative side as I'm thinking about this. This is always the first step I take when I'm getting ready to go into the year ahead and set up a new planning system. I think it's really important that your planning system meets your needs. And how can you do that if you don't take the time to lay out what your needs are for the year ahead? So go grab your supplies and let's get planning. All right, so this is not the first year I've done this. I did a very similar video last year when I was getting ready to set up my planning system for 2021. I will have that video linked down in the description box below so that you can go check that out. I really do feel like this is an important step, and it doesn't have to be done coming into a new year. It can be done at any time. The purpose here is really just to map out the different areas of your life and where you need planning systems or tools to support you so that you can stay on top of everything you need to stay on top of. So I am going to be using some watercolors. I kind of want to get a little bit creative with this. I also use this document as I go throughout the year, when I want to switch up planners, because again, your planning needs change. I come back to this document that I started with. It ends up looking very much like a mind map with bubbles and arms and extensions. And so I come back to this quite a bit. So I thought, why not make it interesting and creative this year? So I'm going to break out the watercolors and start creating a landscape, a background for me to map out my planning needs. All right, I'm going to get started. I'm going to put some music on. I hope you enjoy this part, and then we'll come back and talk about what I've created. All right, so I've got my creative base to start with, and I'm super excited about how this came out. I love the colors. I love just the act of being creative in starting this process. It really gets the creative juices flowing. Now, I am using a mind map format. If you're not familiar with mind mapping, I will leave a couple resources down in the description box below to give you a bit more background on mind mapping. So I'll simplify it as much as possible here. A mind map is where you start with a very central idea and branch out into more detail and depth as you go. So for my mind map, I am trying to figure out what planning systems I need next year. And so I'm starting with a very simple, basic question in the middle. I need to plan for what? What do I need to plan for in 2022? And so what I'll do is I'll start with the very highest level categories in these first 5 boxes. I chose 5 because I did a little bit of brainstorming before I started this out, so I would know how many circles I need in the initial branching out. Now you can keep going from there. I'm going to start with one just to give you an example of what this looks like, and then I'll keep going with it. But one of the areas I know in 2022 I need to plan for is work. I need to plan for work. And so I'm going to write work in this box. And then from there, I want to actually focus in this area and branch out from here. What areas of work do I need to plan for? So now I'm just thinking about work, and I know that one area I need to plan for is goals. I'm going to have very specific goals that are just related to work. So I know I'm going to need planning for those goals. And then the next area I know I'm going to need to plan for work is task management. All right, another area I know I'm going to have with work in 2022 is projects. And actually that is becoming more important for me and my situation at work in 2022. All right, and then another area I know I have to plan for work, I'm a leader, so I have direct reports. So one of the areas I have to be able to plan for is my team. All right, and then the final area I'm going to capture here that I need to plan for from a work standpoint is my career. All right, so now I've captured 5 additional next level areas related to work. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do here. Even as I was writing these areas, I was thinking, things were coming into my mind specific to those areas that I would need, how to break those down further. It really depends on how your mind works. So for me, I like to capture all of the next level at one time and then go deeper into each area. If your mind doesn't work like that, you could also capture, for example, my team, and then maybe that makes me think about their development, staffing, preparing for one-on-ones with them, performance management, salaries. So if your mind works better and it's a better process for you, you could map out the next level and then keep going, keep branching on that one level. For me, I like to capture all of the next level at one time and then go down to the next level. But you can see kind of how we're getting deeper each time. So for example, let me go with my team. The things that I know I need to, and I just listed off some of them, the things I know I need to focus on with my team include staffing. So this would be like making sure positions are filled, and if there's any vacancies to make sure I fill those. Do I have the right head count? Things like that. I also have their development. So how are they developing and progressing in their careers? What skill development do they need? What training courses? Things like that. Performance management, and that includes everything from like annual reviews to those one-on-one discussions, all of those elements. Pay is another area, so making sure from a benefits standpoint they have what they need. And then the last one I've added here is collaboration, making sure that there's good team building going on, that they're collaborating with each other, that all those important touch points between each of them is happening. And so that's the last area I've captured here. Now what I'm going to do is just draw lines to each of these to create those branches so that I can clearly see that each one of those is mapped out. Now I'm going to repeat that for each one and go a little bit deeper on each one of these areas in work. All right, so now I've mapped out all those areas and put in the kind of sub-branches that I know I need to capture for those. So what this tells me is when it comes to work and what I need to plan for related to work, I have 5 areas that I really need to make sure my planning system incorporates for work. And then below that, these are the type of things that I need to make sure that I'm covering and keeping track of and will need to have planning space for in my system. So hopefully you can begin to see the power of this, because this will quickly tell me what kind of system will and will not work for me. It tells me how much space I need. Do I need a single page? Will I need multiple pages? How many sections will I need? What's important? I can even go through and prioritize these, putting numbers by them, but it just gives me a lot of information. And as I'm looking at planning systems to support work, I know I need to incorporate these areas so I can actually begin to filter out the type of planning systems that I'm looking for based on what I need that planning system to accomplish. All right. So that's the first step. I'm going to go ahead and complete this whole thing so that you can get a picture of what the final product should look like. All right, so I have spent a lot of time and gave myself plenty of space to think through this, took a break, came back to it, looked at it again, and I have mapped out what I think is everything I need to incorporate in a planning system. It takes some time to do this. It is not easy. You're digging deep and thinking of all the different areas, coming up with things that you may not be doing today, but you need to do, thinking of things that you do today that maybe you don't need to do anymore. It really does take some time to do this, but it has just paid dividends for me when I do this, because it really helps me see how things are connected, what things are changing, what emerging needs I have in my planning system, and how I build a system that really supports everything I need. One of the biggest benefits I have found from this is when the shiny new planner is launched. And that happens all throughout the year, and you feel that pull to, ooh, I need the pretty thing. Come back to your mind map and say, what does it meet in my needs that I'm not currently meeting today? If it's there, if the need is there and there's some hole that it will fit, or a current system that needs to be updated and it can replace, then you've got the reason to go ahead and buy the new planner. It also helps if you're starting from scratch and you don't know what you need in a planning system. This will map it out and lay it all out. Now, I won't go through all of this with you. I will have a picture. I'll post a picture of this on the Planning Annie Facebook group and on the Instagram, Planning Annie on Instagram. That way you guys can take a closer look at it. You can see, starts with the central idea, maps out to the next level ideas, and then, what exactly within each of those needs a planning system to support. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gives you some ideas of where to start when you're thinking about your planning system for next year. It can be a bit overwhelming. If you start picking out your planning system by shopping for planners, you will quickly become very overwhelmed, and you may end up purchasing things that don't actually meet your needs. And that is what drives me crazy about the planner community, is there are so many beautiful options out there. It can be overwhelming, and you can end up wasting a lot of money. So I really hope that you found this helpful. I hope it gives you some ideas. I would love to hear from you. How are you planning? What is your first step when you're planning your 2022 planning system? Have you ever used a mind map, or is this something that might be useful for you? If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below and I'll be glad to respond. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know. Subscribe to Planning Annie for more content like this, and as always, thanks for planning with me.